So, Heliya, I'd love to jump before we get into this film. Tell me about getting into USC. I love talking to Trojans about their stories. What was that like?
Yeah, I actually have an interesting story getting into the film school at USC. So I went to high school in San Diego, and after high school, I knew that film was what I wanted to pursue. So not really knowing what film schools were out there, I looked up USC. I looked up film schools in Los Angeles, and USC popped up, and I made my mom drive all the way up with me, and we toured the campus. I fell in love with the program, and I applied. Luckily, I got in as a undeclared major. So the first 2 years I was in oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the school, but it's a school where undeclared majors go to kind of identify where they want to land. And I was taking film classes toward my degree, the degree that I wanted to apply for. And it was my junior year first semester where I met with my counselor, and she's like, "Why are you taking classes toward the film school? Have you applied?" And I was like, "No, but I'm applying this semester." And it was the most discouraging conversation I've ever had with a counselor. And she said, "There's only 1% chance of getting into the film school, so let's find a plan B." And I said, I did not come to USC for a plan B. I came to go to the film school. So I left that meeting with tears in my eyes and more motivated to get into the film school. So I did everything in my power. I took the right classes. I got my recommendation letter. And when the letter of either you get accepted or you're not came to my door, I opened it and I had gone into the film school, despite the fact she told me that there was 1% chance of getting in. So I went back to the counseling office and I said, "Hey, I got into the film school. How can I transfer?" And it was a proud moment.
So cool. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
As far as, because you've had multiple titles over the films you've done. You've directed films. Mm-hmm. Producing seems to be something you're really good at, but also you're getting attached to some really fascinating material. Mm-hmm. What is it about producing that you like, and is that the goal that you want to be as someone who's providing films to be able to be made?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I went to USC, my goal and dream was to be a director. Mm. Then I kind of found myself falling into projects as a producer. I somehow, don't know how, ended up being a producer on a grad student's thesis film. And the organizational aspect of it, being, somebody once told me, a producer is a mother of a set. Mm. So that's how I like to think about it. You're the one that's nurturing the material, helping the director, holding their hand to help them tell their story. And I think growing up in a family of physicians and seeing my parents be, help people all around the world, and kind of always having that caring and helping personality within them, I guess that's how I find it in producing. It's helping a creator bring their vision to life. And I like numbers, which is so weird, but I love numbers and finance, and also the aspect of seeing someone so passionate about a story and being able to provide them with the right team, the right crew, and bring their story to life. So this is my 5th film as a producer. And it's funny you said I've directed as well, and I've written as well. And now I've reached a point where I'm like, okay, I know how to produce. Now I want to produce my stories. So I think kind of now stepping away a little bit from producing or taking on any project that comes my way, maybe being a little bit more specific on what projects I pick as a producer. And I'm writing my first feature that I'm going to direct. And I think knowing and having the knowledge of a producer and stepping into that director's shoes is going to be beneficial beneficial because just personally, I think as a director, you should know every department's role because it just makes you a better leader on set. Even knowing the language of the DP, knowing the language of the wardrobe stylist, I think. So I'm excited. I'm excited to what's to come.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What attracted you about this project in particular?
So I actually reached out to Nikki, our director, to ask her about the AFI directing program that she was in. And we started talking, and she's like, hey, I shot my first feature, half of it, during COVID, and I'm looking for a producer to come on and help me finish the film. And originally the conversation started with me kind of trying to understand her experience at AFI, because I was like, oh, maybe I should, apply for AFI directing program because I want to take that leap. And then the conversation fully turned, and it resulted in me joining her as a producer on her project. And when she sent me her material, again, it was like that producer instinct, where I watched it and I was like, wow, this is a brilliant director. Also, she's female, so I want to support her, and she's Latina, and we don't, there's very little of them out there in the world. And again, she was so talented, and we had really great conversations, and I was like, I want to help you tell your story. So I came on, we shot the other half of the film, and here we are, and we were actually able to sell the film. So that's kind of new news that we're celebrating and getting excited about.
Like how recently? How are we talking?
We sold it about 2-3 weeks ago.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
It's not something I usually get to say to people. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Well, I won't ask too much about that. I know those are negotiating where it will come out, but I'm curious, does that mean there will be ways to see this in the future?
Absolutely. So actually, the news already came out. Okay. We sold the film to Lionsgate, and there are amazing partners, and we're so excited. We're still trying to figure out where it's going to play and where it's going to be, but it will be in some theater in California for a week, so people can go watch it, and then hopefully the perfect fit, the streaming platform that fits our film will pick it up, and people can enjoy it.
As far as being on a production now, knowing that you want to do your own material, how did you look at what Nikki was doing as inspiration?
I think something I'm learning so much in this industry is find the right people. Find the right people and find your people. As my fifth film, this being my fifth film, I've gone through working with an enormous amount of different personalities, different interests. Someone might be a great director or a great producing partner in what they do, but that doesn't necessarily maybe mean you'll be great partners in the workflow. So I've gone through a lot of different productions, and as you may know, making a film is a 2-year process. So you're really living with those people and your team for such a long time. So you really have to find the right partners. And something we did on A Place in the Field was, when I came on, I was lucky and able to bring my financiers that I've built relationships with that fit the project properly into this team. And when we had our US premiere, and unfortunately my team was not able to come to this premiere, it was so nice to see the team coming together. It was really a family. And I think that's what I'm trying to take away and apply to my next projects. Even as a producer, those specific projects that I do choose to be a part of, I want to create that family, because it's so important, not only in development, on production, in post, every single step of filmmaking. If you don't have that foundation of the family, it's going to be hard. Even families fight, right? So there are times in the editing bay where Nikki and I had different perspectives on where the film should go. But what I loved about her was she was so open to just talking it out and hearing your opinion. That was also another thing I really liked about her when I first met her, because she was so open to collaboration. And I think as a director, as a creator, that's so important, especially when the script is so personal. So yeah, I think finding that family, right family.
Perfect. Why Tallgrass? Why submit here? And what has your experience been about bringing a film to Tallgrass?
To be honest, I didn't know we had submitted until Nikki called me and said, "Can you go?" She got a fellowship to shadow one of the Grey's Anatomy directors on set of Grey's Anatomy, so that's what she's doing. She's killing it out there right now. So, but honestly, I didn't know much about the festival until we got accepted, and then I started looking into it. And to be honest, it has been one of the best experiences at a film festival for me. The hospitality is to the roof. Everyone's so kind. Everyone wants to make sure that you are taken care of. And for a small festival, it's been, again, an amazing experience. There's so many films, so many filmmakers that have flown out here. So based on this experience, I will definitely hopefully be coming back with applying and submitting future projects too. So yeah, I've never been to Wichita. First time here, so it's been a really incredible experience.
You mentioned earlier about being able to be a part of a film that showcases a female director, a Latina female director. I'm curious what directors, it doesn't have to be female or anything, but I'm curious, have inspired you or films that have really connected with you and are things that you hope to maybe do on your own?
Yeah, my favorite director is actually Alejandro Inarritu.
Yeah.
What inspired me watching his films is, even with Revenant, that film, if you really look closely, it's an indie film, but he was able to break it into box office. I know it has Leo in it, but if you really watch the film closely, it's not a classical Hollywood film. And also, I relate to him because he comes from, I studied him at school, and ever since being in one of my film classes, I think the class was called 7 Deadly Directors that have, broken into the industry. And he was one, and learning that he comes from the background of music. I come from a background of music. I went to music school up until I was in 2nd grade. And music plays a big role in my films. It inspired me, and I looked more into his path and his career. And I think even the stories he tells are so culturally relevant to where he comes from, and he never tries to step away from what he believes the story should be, which is what I really respect of him. So yeah, I hope to be the next Alejandro Inarritu, but a female version of it, a Persian female version of it.
I like that. Lastly, your family of physicians.
Yeah.
What do they feel about your profession?
It's funny. You would think a Persian family who all went into medicine would not be okay with me going into entertainment industry. But my father is a huge movie buff, and he's a pediatric surgeon who is my hero, and I look up to him so much. And one time I asked him, and I said, if you couldn't be a doctor, what would you be? He said, film director. And he didn't say that to me until I had graduated college. I was like, you kept this from me this whole time? But I think I get my artistic side from my mom, who is a painter, beautiful painter, and she and I are very similar. She understands my artistic personality and my emotional needs, and my sister is like my father, who is now becoming a neurosurgeon. So at first when I got into USC, my dad was trying to, how parents are, say, hey, for as a backup, you could be a second minor in psychology. And I did actually try that, which made me extremely interested in the human psyche, because now most of the films I work on are psychological dramas. But when I finally decided, I went to them and I said, I really have to give my 110% to film in order to be able to succeed. They were extremely, extremely supportive. And up to this day, there are moments where I get sit down and they say, so what do you do? And when I say I produced this film, they're like, okay, so like, are they going to give you time off? I'm like, no, Dad. Like, I am the one that's going to say who gets time off. They still don't understand the concept. They think of the film world as, oh, like Warner Brothers did this or Paramount did this. So it's still very fresh. I try to keep them up to date on everything I do, but surprisingly, from a family that is traditional Persian family who cares about education, going to USC, getting my degree from USC Film was my way to say, okay, so I went to the best film school, so can I do this? And they said yes.
Lovely. Thank you for the time. It's been a real pleasure. I was really kind of blown away by the movie. I can't wait to see what Nikki does online, but I'm really excited for you in your endeavor, and I can't wait to see what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah.